Hello, everybody. It's now the 19th of February, 2021, Friday. I'm Philip Lee, and I'm returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. To be notified of future episodes, please click on the notification bell in the upper right. And today I want to talk about how Republicans can be persuaded to protect Confederate monuments. Let me pull up my notes and we'll get started. To the extent they have been educated, nearly all of today's politicians, including Republicans, were taught that the postbellum Republican Party advocated black suffrage in the South during Reconstruction because of a moral impulse to promote racial equality. It's an important reason why today's Republicans acquiesce to the destruction of Confederate statues. A good example would be Marco Rubio here in the state of Florida. He knows nothing about Reconstruction. All he knows is what he's been taught, which is the party line that they did this to promote racial equality in the South. But we'll see. That's not the truth. That party line is based upon a false premise. In reality, the bulk of the evidence suggests that the Republican Party was more interested in retaining political power than in fostering racial equality. When the Civil War ended, the infant GOP was barely 10 years old. It might have been strangled in its cradle if the readmittance of the Southern states into the Union failed to be managed in a way to prevent Southerners from aligning with Northern Democrats to regain control of federal government. Thus, the party's solution, the Republican Party solution at that time, required that most of the readmitted Southern senators and congressmen be Republicans. That meant that vassal governments needed to be fabricated in the region. However, since the Constitution required that states elect their own representatives, the Republicans needed a way to limit the number of Southern Democrat voters while simultaneously increasing the number of Republican ones. Since there were few white Republicans in the region, the party needed to create a new constituency. Consequently, they settled on two objectives. First was mandatory black suffrage in all former Confederate states. Second was to disfranchise the Southern white classes most likely to oppose Republican policies. That, in other words, take away the votes from the ex-Confederates. Since 40% of the population in the former Confederate states was black, compared to only 1% in the organically Republican northern states, the Republican Party did not need to disfranchise many ex-Confederates in order to gain control of the southern states. They were also, of course, allowed to supervise Southern elections under the glitter of federal bayonets, thereby virtually guaranteeing the outcome they wanted. Many leading Republicans even admitted that they wanted black suffrage in the South, if not the North, in order to ensure Republican control of the federal government. Consider this: 24 years after he left office, South Carolina's last carpetbag governor, Daniel Chamberlain, Yale graduate from Massachusetts, revealed the hypocrisy that transpired when the Republican congressmen and senators debated how to organize Southern Reconstruction shortly after the war ended. And here I'm quoting Daniel Chamberlain from an April 2001 edition of the Atlantic magazine. Same magazine where Ta-Nehisi Coates, who wants reparations for slavery, also writes. Anyway, here's Chamberlain writing in Atlantic magazine. Republicans considered the Black South equal to all the needs of the hour. Ignorant, to be sure, but loyal. Hardly anywhere else in recorded debates can be found so surprising a revelation of the blindness of partisan zeal as these congressional debates disclose. Underneath all the avowed motives lay a deeper cause: the determination to secure Republican Party ascendancy and control at the South and in the nation through Negro vote. If this is hard of saying, let anyone now in 1901 ask himself if it is possibly credible that in 1867, that the 1867 Reconstruction Acts would have passed if the Negro vote had been believed to be democratic. Sentiment carried the day, sentiment of a lower kind, hate, revenge, greed, lust of power. And the hate was not towards black, the hate was toward white Southerners. Chamberlain's remarks are the key to getting today's GOP politicians to save Confederate statues. All of today's GOP politicians realize that today's Democrats want statehood for Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico only because the Dems want 4 more senators to tighten their grip on the federal government. No modern Republican believes that the Democrats want the statehood for any of the noble sounding rationalizations they will provide to the public and in their congressional speeches and CNN interviews, all that crap. Today's Republicans know beyond a shadow of doubt that all such rationalizations are phony. It is time to present them with the epiphany that the GOP's rationalizations for postbellum Reconstruction were just as phony. The true object of the Democrats now and the Republicans then was political power. Believing otherwise is to deny that human nature is not a constant, or deny that it is a constant. Inform today's Republicans that U.S. Grant did not win the popular vote among whites when he was first elected president in 1868. He was elected by a minority of white voters. He won the aggregate popular vote only because Southern blacks voted overwhelmingly for him, even though Texas, Mississippi, and Virginia were not permitted to vote in that election, that 1868 election. You see, they had not yet established Republican puppet regimes in those states. The belief that U.S. Grant was a civil rights hero, which is common today, ignores the self-serving reasons he used force to manipulate the vote in the South. His administration is so falsely sanctified by modern historians that one professor from Hillsdale College yet even admitted during a recent interview that was brought to my attention by one of you viewers. The professor did not know why Grant's first vice president, Schuyler Colfax, was not on the ticket for Grant's second term. After the professor praised Colfax as an abolitionist leader, the interviewer naturally asked, well, why wasn't Colfax on the ticket for the second term? Notwithstanding that Hillsdale College professor wrote his dissertation about the Grant administration judicial appointments, he was evidently unaware that Colfax was kicked off the ticket for taking bribes in connection with the Credit Mobley scandal. If you want to save Confederate statues, you must inform your Republican politicians concerning the analogy of the attempted Democrat power grab now with DC and Puerto Rico statehood, and compare it to the successful power grab by postbellum Republicans that the postbellum Republicans got by establishing misrule in the South during Reconstruction. Let me pull down my notes and show you a couple of things here. To get this kind of information, I've got 2 books that you can read. First is, whoops, hold on a minute. I've got to share screen. Let's go with this one. Okay, there's the first book, Southern Reconstruction by me, Philip Lee. I wrote it a few years ago. It's one of my bestsellers. I recommend this book. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it at Amazon and all fine bookstores. Southern Reconstruction by Philip Lee. Please get that book if you want to save Southern Confederate statues. This tells you how the Republican grant for power was contingent upon getting the black votes in the South, but not the North. They, they originally they didn't think they could get the blacks, even the states of the North, to vote for black suffrage, even though the states, the Republican states in the North, typically had only 1% black population. Okay, the other one is this one. Let me share my screen again so you can see that one. And I want to enlarge it. U.S. Grant's failed presidency. If you want to know why Schuyler Colfax was not on the ticket for the second term, for Grant's second term, it's in this book with a lot of other things that show that Grant was not a good president. And all this hero worship that he gets for being a leader in civil rights is completely fake. U.S. Grant's failed presidency. It's available also at Barnes and Noble and Amazon. This book is $20. I'll sell autographed copies for $25 if you email me Phil_Leigh LEIGH at me.com. Okay, that's our show for today, and thanks for watching.